Hello and welcome to Light and Dark Chat. I am your host Jennifer, and today I'm going to be talking about the history and symbolism of the pentagram. The pentagram is a five-pointed star that intersects with itself in a continuous motion. When it is encased within a circle, it is then called a pentacle. Now, a lot of people have certain thoughts or ideas of what the pentagram is, what it represents, and where it comes from. So with that, I want to share to you about its origins and where it comes from. The pentagram goes so far back in history that it actually originates to about 3000 BCE or before Common Era. So that means it was around the time of Mesopotamia. And you can actually find artifacts in Mesopotamia that shows the pentagram etched into pottery, clay pots, etc. And it is also something that was a subject of fascination for ancient Greeks, especially those who followed and were taught with Pythagoras. It's also something that was shown in religious usage by the Babylonians. Now, here's something that a lot of people probably don't know, is the fact that it also has history in Christianity, in the early Christian church. It was used as kind of their official symbol for about 500 years because the 5 points represented the 5 wounds of Christ. So you had the wounds from the crown of thorns, you have his where he was nailed to the cross, and of course on the sides where you have where he had been impaled, not impaled, but at least struck by the spear from the Roman soldier. It is also something that represented for them the beginning and the end, because the thing about the pentacle or pentagram is that it's able to be drawn in one continuous motion. A lot of Wiccans, witches, or what have you, see this more so as representing earth, air, fire, water, and spirit at the top. Now, that representation actually originated with Pythagoras. He was a ancient Greek philosopher as well as mathematician, and he and his followers saw the pentagram as mathematical perfection. It was something that was completely pure and was the later to become known as part of the golden ratio. The golden ratio is present within nature, all around us, and even the universe, as well as present within our own human bodies. So with that unification of it, he saw it as, the combination of nature as well as us, spirit or psyche. Of course, with these representations that I talked to you about, for the majority, these are showing with the pentagram or pentacle being upward, with the point facing up and 2 points facing down. That's usually what it is shown as when it's drawn. But what about when it is upside down? Now, this is where things get a little tricky. In Wiccan tradition, the upside-down pentacle represents that the wearer has entered into their second phase or second degree of learning in their craft. But for pretty much almost everyone else, it is something that regrettably has negative connotations. Now, where did that start? In my personal opinion, I believe that it officially started, though slightly, with the Inquisitions from the Catholic Church. The purpose of the Inquisitions was mostly to rule out heresy, and heresy is any opinion or belief that is contrary to Orthodox religions, namely Christian or Catholic religion. So the first Inquisition started in 1184 by Pope Lucius III, and then that was followed by the medieval Inquisition in 1231, but that then led into the most famous of Inquisitions of all, the Spanish Inquisition. So the Spanish Inquisition was established in 1478 by Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile. So they established this Inquisition to purge all heretical practices within the church and to spread true Catholicism. Now, while the Inquisition was mostly focused on that, it was actually also made towards in reaction to the growing population of Jewish people within the land, especially in areas that they had just reconquered. So for them, it was a way of reunifying Spain by focusing on these groups. The thing is, though, is that those who practiced paganism were not exempt from this. And so they were working to remove any presence of paganism as well from the Catholic Church during this time. That is where I personally believe it started. But the thing about the pentagram getting its evil connotations was not truly solidified until about 1855. So the person who actually documented for the first time that the pentagram, when inverted, held evil connotations was Eliphas Levi, or by his birth name, Alphonsus Constant. Alphonsus Constant was a former Roman Catholic priest from France, and he was also an author and someone who was deeply interested in the studying of the occult. He wrote, now, sorry if I butcher this, but he wrote Dogme et Rituel de la Haute Magie, which was then translated to English by Arthur Waite. He retranslated into English, entitled it instead Transcendental Magic. Now, to quote, in his book, Alphonsus wrote that a reverse pentagram with 2 points projecting upwards is a symbol of evil and attracts sinister forces. Now, again, this is the first time it was ever documented in writing that the pentagram held this connotation when inverted. The next time that we are brought to the idea of this having an evil connotation was not again until 1966. So things came to a head when in 1966, author and musician and occultist Anton LaVey established the Church of Satan. Now, contrary to what some people believe, the Church of Satan, believe it or not, does not actually worship the Satan figure itself, but rather the perception of it. So what they did is that they adopted more of the Hebrew translation of the word Satan, which means adversary. And again, they don't believe in the entity of it, but rather painted it in the perception of Satan to be an archetype for pride, individualism, as well as rebellion against Abrahamic faiths. We have the Church of Satan, we have the connotation from before in 1855, and then taking that and combining it to the actions of 1968 when Anton LaVey released an album in which he used the sigil of Baphomet. And it was, so the sigil of Baphomet is an inverted pentacle with the image of a ram or goat's head in the center and Hebrew letters around the circumference of it. That symbol immediately became the church's symbol. Now, the final component in all of this, from 1855 to 1966 and 1968, the final component which solidified the pentagram, at least inverted, with these perceptions was the media. During the 1970s and the 1980s, there was a mutual rise in both the interest of the occult as well as, sad to say, serial killings. From these events, the media and news would report them and attribute them to satanic cults, devil-worshipping groups, and use the pentagram as a reference for their symbol, most likely in a direct effect from the events in 1968. Since then, the pentagram has been used in movies, books, TV shows, etc. as a mark for satanic cults and groups or something relating to dark witchcraft. Taking all these events, the Upside-Down Pentagram's context has changed in history, much like the Upside-Down Cross, which, believe it or not, is actually the symbol of St. Peter, who was crucified upside down because he didn't believe that he was worthy of being crucified right side up like Jesus was. That's, again, a story for another time. So these symbols, whether it's the pentagram or even the upside-down cross, are now seen as rejections of the good symbols of their right side up counterparts, or at least that's how it might be portrayed. Either way, I hope this video has helped you come to a new understanding of the pentagram. It is a very powerful thing to have knowledge of taboo subjects because it can remove misconceptions and help us to understand where things come from, what they truly are, and how they need to be. So much for watching. Please stay subscribed. Don't leave for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the pentagram, if you use it yourself, or what your relation to it is. And also let me know if there's anything else you would like for me to talk about in the future. Till then, you guys have a wonderful day.